Welcome once again to another episode of B&B Hockey Talk. I'm Aaron Bloxel with my co-host, Mr. Matthew Balzer, the goalie himself. Today, we're going to jump in right away with a little bit of talk about the Edmonton Oilers and Pittsburgh Penguins game last night. Crosby versus McDavid. That's how they advertise it in the U.S. anyways. I don't think it works like it does in basketball. But, wow, what a game. What did you like, and why don't you describe the finish to the game?
Yeah, so I think it's been like a lot of games for the Penguins. It's been high scoring, lots of goals going both ways.
They got one on the Canucks.
Yeah, which was different, but it's just like you got like the games against like Washington and all that where it's been a little up and down for the Penguins this year. But Sidney Crosby finally got his first goal of the season. Seven games into the season where he hadn't scored. That's his longest goal drought to start a season. And then his OT winner to win the game. If you haven't seen the highlight yet, it was something to watch over and over again. Just how he was able to have the patience and then realize it's the forward defending and put the puck between the guy's feet, go around him, and then deep to the backhand.
Poor Ryan Strome having to guard Sidney Crosby in 3-on-3 overtime.
But yeah, it was just a great game. I think I saw somebody asked Ovechkin about Crosby's goal, and then he sort of joked that he didn't see it. He just saw Alex Chason's 2 goals for Edmonton, his former teammate from last year. So not wanting to bring it up, but yeah, it was a great, exciting game. Like McDavid had 2 assists, but Crosby's so far 5-0 against the Oilers in his career since McDavid's joined the team. So far he's dominated the matchups there. But yeah, it was just a great game from start to finish. Offensively, defensively, the coaches may not have liked it, but for us fans, it's the goals that matter.
Well, Pittsburgh's still in second place in the Metropolitan Division, just behind the New Jersey Devils, but they do have 2 games in hand, and I think it's only a matter of time before – sorry, not behind the Devils, but the Carolina Hurricanes, my bad. New Jersey's nipping at their heels as well with their 4-2 record. But another Metropolitan team that we got the privilege to watch on Monday night here in Vancouver, the Washington Capitals, and man, what a power play they have. How impressive is that power play?
Man, it is just so fun to watch. It's just like, I think I bring it up. It's just like they have the best power play unit in the NHL. Just the guys that they're able to bring out on that ice in that first power play unit. And they even mix things up. Usually they're looking for the one-timers from Karlsson, Oshie, and Ovechkin. But Kuznetsov had a pretty sweet one-timer for his goal on the power play. And then Ovechkin, who's actually been pretty quiet when he's come to Vancouver, finally exploded for a huge game with 2 goals and 4 points, including that one bomb on the power play. Man, it's just like how he's able to score from that spot over and over again is just crazy. And then he moved into 9th all-time in power play goals. That was his 233rd power play goal in his NHL career. And it was also his 123rd multi-goal game. I believe the next closest guy is Crosby, but Ovechkin has like 40 more goals than him since he's entered the league.
Well, that Washington team, not only was their power play impressive, but at the end of the game, the goal that nobody wanted, Ovechkin could have got a hat trick, passed off to Oshie, and they kind of joked about it after Oshie put in the empty net. It looked like Oshie was like, "What are you doing? Why didn't you take it?" kind of thing. You're having a good night when you can do that at the end of a game.
Yeah, I saw that. I think he said he was trying to get it back to Ovechkin, but he just couldn't.
Yeah, so let's bounce now to the Atlantic Division. The Atlantic Division. The Montreal Canadiens have now tied for first in that division, 5-1-2, and I think more people should be talking about them. Is this something that's going to continue with that goaltender Carey Price in that? and the roster that they have, or are they going to start falling apart here soon? Remind you, they still have Shea Weber coming back soon. What kind of boost will that give them?
Yeah, so far that young defense has been holding up. Like, just for me, I've been waiting for things to cave in, but so far so good. But Carey Price tied Patrick Waugh for second all time in the Habs win list. But their defense has been doing pretty good. Jeff Petrie, who struggled a lot last year outside of his offensive numbers, has been pretty good, and he's about a point a game so far to start this year. But a lot of the guys have started off slowly, are starting to heat up. Jonathan Drouin had another goal and 2 points. I believe he has at least a 4 or 5 game point streak going on right now for the Habs, along with Brendan Gallagher with another goal last night and Max Domi with another 2 assists. They peppered Calgary pretty good with 40 shots on goal. And David Rittich, who played in back-to-back games for Calgary, even though they lost, he's had back-to-back really good performances where he beat the Rangers facing 40-plus shots and getting to 40 last night, where they just lost out by 1 goal to the Habs. But yeah, it's just I think there'll be a drop-off eventually. But if they can sort of stay the course the way they are, and even if they go back to 500 and you get Shea Weber back in December, then things could maybe take off as guys start to go in the right places on that back end. But yeah, I'm really surprised with how well they've played and continue to play.
The Tampa Bay Lightning in fourth in that division really haven't seemed to hit their stride yet. Like, there's still a lot of players that aren't playing up to their full potential. And I think it's only a matter of time before they pass everyone to take over first. Do you think Tampa Bay has a couple more notches to pick up yet?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think Steven Stamkos has had a pretty quiet start to the season. Even Nikita Kucherov, you haven't really heard much of. It's been guys like Braden Point, Tyler Johnson, who had a hat trick. It's been more of those secondary guys that have been really carrying. Yanni Gord is another guy to throw out there. Those guys have been really carrying them so far offensively. It's like Stamkos and Kucherov. They're still getting their points here and there, but they haven't gone off to like that hot start that they did from last season.
Moving along to the Central Division, Nashville Predators still in first. Heck of a game last night with the San Jose Sharks. With the Sharks in Nashville with a 3-goal third period to win that game. What did you like about Nashville, but what did you like about that game? Let's talk about the Sharks too.
Yeah. So for the Sharks, I think we had our first Carlson to Burns connection on the game-winning goal.
By the way, just on a quick stat on that, it was the 24th time in NHL history that Norris Trophy winner and another Norris Trophy winner were in on a goal, and it was the 14th time that a Norris Trophy winner scored a goal from another Norris Trophy winner.
That is crazy. It's like you talk about like Nashville's defense and how great that defense is, but like it's still crazy to think that you got Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns both on the same team, which is scary. But I think the Sharks,
Vlasic's no slice need either. So
yeah, and Vlasic there too. But I think the Sharks have gone and separated Burns and Karlsson onto 2 separate power play units now. Just because that wasn't exactly working to start the season. So if you can have 2 power play units with like top 5 defensemen in the NHL on each unit, that's pretty good to roll out. But yeah, with the Preds here, yeah, Philippe Forsberg had another goal and 2 points last night. UC Saros got the net with Pekka Rinne's injury. Made 27 saves on 32 shots. Still had a pretty good performance. I think the only one that he wished that he was a little taller on, or wish he was a little taller on, was Thomas Hurdle's goal, where he basically just outstretched Saros past his leg and put it right inside the post. And if you think if it was Pekka Rinne, that he would have had that save. But then again, it's like only their second regulation loss this season, so they continue to roll.
Colorado Avalanche still under the radar. 6-1-2, tied with Nashville now for the lead in that division. Mikko Rantanen and Nathan McKinnon both tied for scoring with Austin Matthews for the league. Who saw that coming, and how good is this Colorado team?
Yeah, Colorado's been really good, and especially it's like that top line's been great, but their goaltending, especially Semyon Varlamov, had another 37 saves against the Flyers on Monday, and it will be in net against the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. That will be a good matchup to keep an eye on today with Colorado and Tampa Bay. But yeah, Colorado's been known to give up a lot of shots per game. Outside of being able to score with that top line. But Varlamov and Grubauer have both been really good to start this season. And that defense that they ramped up in the off seasons continued to play well. And they've been healthy. Like guys like Tyson Barrie and Eric Johnson, who had injuries throughout last season, so far had a good healthy season. But yeah, that top line, Rantanen and McKinnon, and Landeskog, those guys just continue to roll. It's just like, I think this is one of those lines, like you look at the Marchand, Bergeron, and Pastrnak line. I think these are like the two lines in the NHL that I think can bring it consistently every single night and put up at least a couple goals a game. And I wouldn't be surprised. Like even getting back to Boston, like Pasternak's up to 10 goals in 9 games. Yeah. So it's just they're fun to watch, and I think they're more consistent than like some of like the Leafs like big lines.
And Mikko Rantanen for me is the most underrated player in the NHL right now, tied for first in scoring. I mean, most assists in the league. He's just absolutely flying. Helps that line plug along. Moving to the Pacific Division, San Jose Sharks have quietly taken over first place. We've touched on them a little bit already, but it's just interesting to see how their depth is playing out, even with some injuries to some key guys.
Yeah, so like Joe Thornton's still out of the lineup with that swelling in his knee, but yeah, they haven't gone out for a trade. They've gone up with their depth. I think Rourke Chartier has been a consistent person in their lineup, and Antti Suomela, who they signed out of Europe from last season, has been actually a very underrated player for them. He's consistently put up points in most of the games, and has really solidified their center depth with Thornton down for the time being. But yeah, the guys like Evander Kane and Timo Meier continue to impress. Kane so far has stayed healthy. I think that's a big thing with that contract, is that when he's healthy, he's a heck of a player. But when it's when he gets those injuries, just with the way that the style of play that he plays, he usually gets dinged up a couple times per year. But so far so good there. And like on Monday, they were 3 spots out of a wild card spot, and now they're in first place in the Pacific. So it just shows how a win there, a loss there can really change the standing so far to begin this season.
Yeah, every division seems to be pretty tight right now. You mentioned it already. David Rittich played against both the Rangers and Montreal for Calgary. I thought that was a good move by Calgary. Because of Mike Smith's injuries in the past, I think it's good to rest him for stretches of periods of time. Do you see Smith, though, going on a tear with Calgary where they're going to start playing him a lot?
Yeah. We'll see how this works, because Smith's play so far has been inconsistent. He's had some really strong games, like he had that shutout against Nashville in Nashville. Yeah. But then he's had some other games where he hasn't looked sharp and let in like 4+ goals. So I think it was a smart move to reward Rittich with back-to-back games, and he played strong in both games. So, and especially with Smith being a UFA at the end of this season, the Flames need to start looking to see what they have in net in Rittich. And I wouldn't be surprised to see John Gillies later this season as the year goes along. But if Smith can sort of get back to the way he started last season before he got injured, where he was really good for them until he got that groin knee injury, I believe, from last season. If he can finally get back to there, I can see them going. But yeah, the Flames have to start looking to see what they have in their younger goalies.
And the Los Angeles Kings quietly are now in last in the Pacific. Jonathan Quick just not has not been quick like this season. I know he's had an early injury, but man, what is happening in Los Angeles?
I know, yeah, it's crazy. It's just like you just see it again. It's just like you look at Jonathan Quick's stats, and it's just like his save percentage is below, I believe, 85 right now, and his goals against average is like close to 4. It's just like, sheesh. But it's sort of like that with for some of the other starting goaltenders in the NHL too, though. But yeah, it's just crazy to see how badly this LA Kings team is right now. It's like their power play. I think they might have only scored like 1 goal in their power play so far this year. And if you're not getting anything from your special teams, you're not going to be up there in the standings whatsoever. And then with the Dustin Brown injury, I think that's affected their top 6 a lot, or a lot more than I thought it would to start this season. But yeah, they're gonna have to look to shake things up here. Kovalchuk, I think, only has a couple goals so far this season, and I think that was the big worry from like when people saw that 3-year contract that he got. It's just like, could he put the puck in the net? Could he keep up in the NHL so far this year with his age? I think being like 35, 36 years old. But like sometimes he hasn't looked as bad, but for a guy that you're paying like $6.5 to $7 million a year, you'd expect a little bit more of a hotter start.
Yeah, and our Vancouver Canucks. Right now, Brock Besser listed as day-to-day, may not play tonight against Las Vegas. Elias Pettersson is still injured and is not expected to play tonight, but is expected to potentially play tomorrow in Arizona. They've had Washington come into town. Ovechkin and the Capitals with their power play pretty much dominated them. But surprisingly, from my point of view, I think the Canucks going into the season, especially with the preseason, didn't look like they were going to get goal scoring anywhere. And yet, I believe every game but 2, maybe 3 now, they've had 3 or more goals. Is this something they're going to keep up throughout the season, do you think? Or are we going to start seeing a downward trend with the Canucks?
Well, I think we're starting to see that downward trend. I think once when Pettersson gets back in the lineup, then I think things will start to heat up. But it just shows with him out, he's still leading this team in points. So there is that. Like, I know Horvat's caught up to him in goals, so I think Horvat's been like the most consistent forward since since Pettersson's gone down with an injury. With Goldobin probably being a close second. Even though Goldie hasn't been getting any points in those
Getting
games.
a lot of chances, though.
Yeah. It's just like he's been setting up guys for high scoring chances. It's just that nobody's been able to put the puck in the net for him so far. But yeah, and then with the Besser injury now, at least it's only like a day-to-day thing. So apparently he suffered a groin injury, but going back to the Winnipeg game. So, and he was back on the ice for the morning skate. So we still don't know quite yet if he's going to play tonight. But if not, I expect to see him in the lineup tomorrow, and hopefully Pettersson as well. So, this was the one thing that we were talking, or as Canuck fans, we were talking about before the season. Where were the goals going to come from? Like we knew Horvat, we knew Besser, and we knew Pettersson was probably going to rip it up. But even like I think he surpassed all our expectations on how hot of a start he got off to. So that, and we got to see how long it's going to take him to get back up to speed after the concussion. It was his first concussion of his NHL career, and actually of his hockey history, I guess. It was his first concussion. So it's a new thing for him, but at least all signs are pointing to good things. So hopefully he gets back in the lineup tomorrow, because especially for me, I think a lot of Canuck fans, I think we really want to see him back in the lineup, just because he brings just like that extra bit of excitement for every game that they play.
Well, and I think all in all, as a Canucks fan, if you told us at the start of the season, 9 games in, that they'd be 5-4 with that road trip that was there, I think we'd be pretty happy with the way that it's worked out so far.
Yeah, especially that, and especially their goaltending. There's only been maybe a couple of games where I haven't really liked their goaltending. But Markstrom gets back in the net tonight. I'm hoping he can build off that Boston game where I thought you played really well there, and especially with Vegas tonight, who's starting to. I think they've won 3 straight, something like that. They're starting to heat things up, and then Vegas also gets Alex Tuck back in the lineup from injury. So it could be a tough spot, especially with the Vegas flu, with all the teams that go in there. It could be a tough.
And all the dads are on this road trip.
Yeah. So that at least they'll have some extra motivation with the dad trip going on. So hopefully that buys them at least 1 or 2 extra goals. All the dads on the road trip.
Yeah. Well, the Canucks, they, like we said, they play tonight and they play tomorrow night. So we'll be able to update you that on our Friday show. Final words before we wrap it up, Matt.
Yeah, so first off, just sorry for my voice. I'm just battling a cold right now. So if my voice was a little off today, that it was because of that. But yeah, I think so. We'll see if the Canucks can bounce back tonight and tomorrow. They're in Arizona as well. So I think this will be their first back-to-back games of the season, which is actually a surprise, especially with that long road trip. It actually was a surprise that they didn't have a back-to-back there. But just some other extra things throw out there just for some other NHL fans. Michael Raffle with Philadelphia is out 4 to 6 weeks with a lower body injury. With the New Jersey Devils, Ben Lovejoy and Drew Stafford were put on injured reserve. And some guys coming back from injury, Robbie Fabry and Michael Neuwirth, were both put on, sent down to the American Hockey League for conditioning. So hopefully for Fabry, especially for Fabry, I hope he stays healthy. Luckily, he didn't tear his ACL for a 3rd time. That was a big fear when he went down with that lower body injury. But hopefully he can have a healthy, successful season.
Well, Fabry, I'm looking forward to seeing play, only because he had such a great start in his rookie season before he tore his ACL. Then he tore again the next season. So hopefully, I'd love to see what this kid can do.
Mm-hmm. And also, lastly here, Mark Borowiecki was suspended 1 game by the NHL for an elbow to the head. Boston defenseman Euro Vakanainen. So I think that was more of just like a scrum in front of the net, and then his elbow came up and hit the guy in the face. So nothing. I haven't seen an update yet on Vakanainen, but didn't seem intentional or anything. It was just a big scrum and his elbow came up. So. But yeah, we'll be back Friday. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and thanks for the support.
Remember to like and share us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave your comments below about your favorite team. Interact with us as much as you can. Remember on our Facebook page, if you're not subscribed there, we update you with all sorts of highlights of goals and saves around the league. So. Thanks again for tuning us in, and we will see you guys on Friday with our next episode. Take care.